It does not like MacBooks.
I looked over.
Who does?
I had to do a double.
I looked over and saw Kiwis.
I'm not a fan of land, so what are you talking about? Okay, so yeah, welcome everybody to what did we call this one? Oh yeah, getting to know your fruit, a not so typical meet and greet. So I'm really bad at these, even though I do them for Maggie all the time because he doesn't speak publicly. So now I have to do it and talk about myself, which is something I'm not really a fan of doing. But I guess here we are. So I'll start off, if you don't know who I am, if you just stumbled into the room, I am Kiwi or Kiwi Fox. I started out in the fandom as a bit of a lurker and a forum mod many years ago, and that evolved into wanting to be more active in the fandom, and I became a YouTuber where I did video content. I still do, just not as much because the time involved between filming, editing, and posting. More often than not now, I actually have Maggie help with a lot of that because I'm now involved in so many other projects as a musician, as well as a freelance mechanic and contractor. I balance a lot of things in addition to furry, so can they open that? Does it just slide? Oh, okay, cool. So that's kind of why, like, for those that always are like, when are you going to upload a new YouTube video? It's like, I'm working on it. It's just, it takes a lot of time for me to really sit down and make it happen. A 10-minute video can take me anywhere from like a day to a week to create, between coming up with the idea, scripting it out, and then implementing it into something that people actually want to watch and pay attention to. So that's kind of a little bit about me. As I said during opening, I got into the fandom a long time ago, around 2003, because of anime, and it's been a wild ride that has gotten me deeper and deeper into it as we go, because I get more and more active in the community, it seems like every day, with all the projects I'm in. So that's all I can really think of to market myself, per se. So I don't want to spend an entire hour just being like, who has questions? Although I will make it lucrative for people that want to ask questions, just saying.
They're really good questions, there's big candy.
I don't want to eat all of this, please. So I'm just going to throw candy at people who have questions. But show of hands, how many people here have seen my live streams, either on YouTube or Twitch? I like that there's like 5. That's awesome. So I'm also a Twitch streamer, and the content on Twitch will range anywhere from playing video games to being in my garage working on a car and chatting in real time with people, because something I try to do different as an entertainer is I bring non-furry stuff to furry to both entertain and educate. So for example, I will do videos about how to fix things on a car, but I'll bring it to the furry audience because it can be entertaining as well as teach people something they may not have known how to do, like basic maintenance, things like that. Other times I'll do cooking videos or cooking live streams, pretty much whatever I feel like just recording myself doing. I stream to Twitch because it's fun. Something else I'll do a lot of times is people have an affinity for memes these days, and they really like to send me memes and see my reaction. So something I want to do during this panel is share one of my favorite memes, but I'm not sure how it's going to work because I don't see, there is that, but that goes, aha, there is a meme here. Okay. Another question. How many people here have seen the movie Frozen 2? Oh boy. Well, there's no spoilers, I think, in what I'm about to show them. You know what I'm going to show them. Yeah. So
There better not be.
there's no real spoilers. So there's a YouTube page called Without Music, and what they do is they recreate music videos or musical scores, but they do them without music. So imagine, if you will, being on the set of a music video, and you're just hearing like the breathing, the shoes squeaking on the ground, like there's not actually any music in the background, but you're still hearing it. They did one for Frozen 2, and yes, it is amazing, I promise you. So if you've seen the movie, this will ruin it and make it so much better, because I can no longer watch the actual movie without cackling at this particular scene. And it's Into the Unknown is what the song is. Oh yes, it's just as glorious as you can imagine. So what they did is they recreated, and I can't remember her name, they'll plug it at the end of the video, but it's a cover. It's not Idina Menzel singing, but the woman they got to do the cover sounds exactly like her. And it is insane. I love it. So I just wanted to share that with you because it's my channel and I can do whatever I want with this. They never gave me any rules, so...
Do you want to rehearse it?
I mean, I'm trying. I'm honest. no joke, I'm trying to get Omnom to let us like cover, because we already did Pokemon, so we know that we can pay. Yeah, we can pay to do covers, and I'm like, why don't we do Frozen songs? Like, can you imagine? It's expensive, but could you imagine like an EDM-y sort of metal-y Frozen song, but with RDR playing it on stage? Omnom? I would love to see that. It's long enough. Yeah. Where's it? Is it on this? Yeah, it's on this side. Watch me blow something up, and Senchi's gonna come up here and kill me. This is mostly his equipment, so. Okay, nothing blew up yet. Okay. Okay. Hey, look at that! It's already pulled up. Imagine
No,
that.
that's the acapella.
Oh, why is that pulled up? We don't want that. That's her name, Eileen there. Okay, that's what I'm. You see nothing.
Literally sees nothing.
Perfect. Okay. I had to make sure the sound worked before we actually started. Perfect. And I do apologize. The sound is over here, but the video's over there. That wasn't.
Turn that up.
Oh, I think it's plenty loud because that was just the snoring. Wait till we get to the glass breaking part. That's even better.
I'm sorry for
It's worth it, I promise. And if you haven't seen the movie, I urge you to go see it, especially after this. See, you would expect there to be music right now, which there should have been in the movie.
There's 1,000 reasons I should go about my day and ignore your whispers, which
She
I
sounds
wish
just
would
like
go
that.
away. You're not a voice, you're just a ringing in my ear. And if I heard you, which I don't, I'm spoken for, I fear. I've had my adventure, I don't need something new. I'm afraid of what I'm risking if I follow you into the unknown. Into the unknown.
I told you to
Every
put the
day's a
movie
little
for you.
harder as I feel my power grow. Don't you know there's part of me that longs to into the unknown, into the unknown. Whoa, hey, how you?
It's stuff like that, and I wanted to share that because it's stuff like that I've started to bring out in my live streams because, you know, it's just fun to hang out sometimes with a few other people online and be like, hey, check out this amazing thing I found that I didn't know existed until this day. I believe it was, Majiro was the one to show me this. We were at home and I snorted so hard I thought I was going to die. I was cackling in the basement watching this, and now, every time we have a friend who hasn't seen Frozen 2 and we watch it with them, that's all I can think of in my head, and I will be there cackling, and they don't know what's happening. Like, the movie's progressing, and it's all solemn, and she's singing, and I'm losing it on the couch. And they're like, why? So we have a tradition now. Every time I show this movie to somebody who's never seen it, we have to pause the movie right after that song and make them watch that version of it. And then they're like, okay, now I understand why you're going absolutely crazy.
You're ruining it for other people, too.
I am.
Yes.
That's what I do.
It's not the only one I know.
It's a good time, though. It really is. So that, I think, really rounds out kind of who I am and what I'm about. I like to have fun, and I like to have fun with other people. I like to entertain and do what I can. So I guess this is the awkward part of the panel now, where I just get to sit here and say, so, I guess in regards to anything, whether it's about me or what I do or anything like that, like if you guys have any questions, I am more than happy to sit here and explain and answer any of them. I saw your hand first. There was some hesitation.
Kind of. Well, so do you think that you and Run Definitely Run would make a cover album together?
Absolutely. I think right now, our main focus is we're working on getting a second album launched, and once that starts up, once we can get sort of more momentum for the band, both success and financially, then we can afford to do stuff like that, because it's definitely something we want to branch out into, because Pokemon was an amazing cover that took off, and to this day is still very popular. So to do more like that would be, like to do an entire album of that, I think would be incredible.
Oh, yeah.
To really bring sort of a more hard EDM/rock vibe to things that are otherwise very show tunesy. I guess you'd call that show tunes, Into the Unknown.
It's music theater.
Music, yeah. Oh yeah, I was supposed to be throwing candy at people. I can't actually throw it because then Sable's going to come in here and squawk at me, so we have to gently hand you candy. Yes.
So would you consider yourself a furry that makes content or a creator that makes furry content?
I would say I'm a furry that makes content because not all of my content is exclusively furry. Going back to like live streams, if I do just a live stream where I'm playing a video game or fixing a vehicle or doing any sort of instructional activity, that doesn't necessarily count as furry in its own right, but I am a furry who is now sharing that, and so I tend to bring furries into it, and I guess the benefit to that is I'm bringing things into the fandom that most other furries may not have already been exposed to. Seems to be a pretty common theme when I do things that aren't just the same old, watch me play Apex or watch me play Fortnite. They're like, oh, you're doing something, and they're just like, oh, they start asking questions and getting very inquisitive about what it is I'm doing. Same with the videos, too. Yes?
Have you ever broken something at a car?
like on my body? Oh, yes. When I was in Australia, I went to Furdu back in 2018, and do you know Fox Veritas? He's an Australian fox. We were on the beach. There was a big fursuit photo shoot on the beach, and he was like, oh, pick me up, it'll be cute, because he had his GoPro in his hand. I'm like, okay. And I pick him up, and mind you, we're on sand, so mistake number one. He is really tall. And so I go to put him down, but I slip. My foot goes out from under me, and I land on my side. Ended up breaking a rib on the beach. I found the one hard spot of sand, and it just kind of went pop right up inside. And I was like, huh, that didn't feel right. And it didn't hurt at first. It took probably, I'd say 6 or 7 days. By the time I got back to America, I was just like, something is really not right. Ended up having to go to the hospital for it. It was not a fun I did. That's why I have a YouTube video to this day, and it's funny about that video because it keeps getting comments and it's old, but because it's not a clickbait title, it literally says how I almost died at a furry con. But it's true because it talks about that experience and also how from that experience I also was like very sick and got into the hospital for other reasons. But yeah, it made a very good video because people were like, wait, this guy almost died at a con? Yeah, it's more likely than you think.
It's normal for Australia.
Australia doesn't. They want to kill everything. When they say everything in Australia wants to kill you, that includes the beaches, not just the kangaroos.
Barbacks.
Yes.
What is your favorite type of car or favorite type of car to work on?
Oh, so my favorite type of car, if I had to pick one specific car, would be the Mazda RX-7 because I owned an 88 GXL and I loved it to death. 13V naturally aspirated with the 5-speed manual. Sunset orange paint job too. Beautiful car. Wished I would have never gotten rid of it. Favorite car to work on would be anything mid to late 2000 Honda Toyota because they're like Lego blocks. Everything is pretty much transferable from vehicle to vehicle if it's within the same family of engines, which makes them a breeze to find parts for at U-Pullets and work on.
So kind of a jump off that, like what got you in the car?
Growing up in a family, my father was a mechanic, so pretty much from the age of 5 or so when I could walk and talk, I was turning wrenches with him in the garage, working on, like, I'd start out working on, like, my bike or a lawnmower or whatever he would give me to not really, it didn't bother him if I broke it, but it was like a learning experience, like, oh, this is how you develop a feel for how tight to make something. And it kind of fostered that love that it's like, now has translated into I still do all of that, but it's more so I do it because it's cheaper for me to do it myself than to go and spend money elsewhere. Because furry YouTubers do not make much money at all. It is sort of it's not a thankless job. It's just financially thankless sometimes.
Because it's all drive-by views. We're all in incognito mode, so it doesn't
Yes.
auto-log in.
Correct.
So no one ever remembers to subscribe.
That's why you have to be really, for those interested in doing any sort of, and I figured this was going to be a question, so I'm going to go ahead and just address it now. For people interested in getting into content creation or streaming or music, the biggest thing to remember is starting out, you just have to push. You have to put a lot of effort in and expect to constantly put effort in, because you may not see that payoff right away, but it will come in time. For me personally, things like being in a band with and being able to come to events like this and see everybody here, to me is the payoff for everything I've been working towards. To be able to share my life with people and share as an entertainer what I choose to share and have fun with it. That is the payoff in itself. Yes.
Did you make your suit or did you just?
So I made, that's a good question, that's another reason I brought my laptop, but so the current suit, this head was actually made by Jesse Frost. This was a present that I received back at Denver 2 years ago, but the rest of my suit, yes, I made my first suit, head to foot, and it wasn't super hard because nowadays you can go online and there's a bunch of tutorials. My favorite couple are Matrices and Kloof Suits, who put up absolutely wonderful step-by-step tutorials that will guide you through every single step of the content creation process, from heads to bodies to feet. But it only took me 2-ish months to make him in my free time back ages ago. He's like 5 now, so 2015, 2016 I made him. Yes.
How hard is it to make friends when you're popular in the fandom?
I don't consider myself popular, and this is something I grapple with all the time. I know people, and we all do the same thing, and people like that thing. So I guess that counts as popular, but like I don't. It's a weird thing because when I started, it is.
Like Malachi.
Right.
What? Yes. Be quiet.
It's weird to think, that at some point I went from someone who idolized others, like Majira and others that have been doing this for so long, and one day you wake up and you realize, now I'm that person. I'm the one making content. I'm the one entertaining and sharing it. And it's a weird realization to have, but I'm trying to remember what was the original question now.
Make friends in this weird middle ground.
It's not that it's hard to make friends. I think what would be hard is kind of deciphering who's a friend and who's just kind of there to see what they can get from you. Because it's unfortunate that it does happen, and you have to sort of have an ounce of skepticism in any decision you make. Especially when it comes to, there's this new person that really, really wants to be a friend. And I would say 99.9% of people are naturally good and do want to genuinely be a friend. You just have to watch out for the 1/10% that sometimes may not be someone you want to be friends with. So it's a lot of using your gut, using your intuition, which I guess could be difficult because it's sort of that extra step of brain power you have to have anytime you meet someone like, all right, like I have to sort of take off the rose-colored glasses and get a feel for who they are. Especially at a con, one thing I've learned, just for safety's sake, is when you first meet someone, be very cautious. If you're like, hey, I'm having a room party, you want to come over? Just be careful you don't invite that kind of person who then shows up with 30 other people to your room without telling you, because those are not friends. Those are vultures who want to eat all the pizza and soda you have in your room. You can freeze it, make slushy. So
The bottle first.
yeah, well, it's eco-friendly. Yes.
So I did have a question. As a content creator, I feel like it can be a struggle sometimes to like come up with different ideas a lot. How do you go about like getting those new ideas that you think will do well and then putting them out there? Just because I feel like sometimes people think, this has already been done. How do you come up with something unique and put it out there, I guess?
Panic, cry, and curl up in the fetal position. For me personally, and also using Magi as an example, a lot of what we do, if we feel that an idea has been done before, but we can maybe do it better or put our own spin on it, we'll still do it, and we'll just focus a little bit more on how we're going to do it. Or another source is to go for non-furry content. You can look at non-furry YouTubers like Jenna Marbles or other pretty wholesome creators and be like, oh, they did this really funny idea that I think we can do too. Like,
Put like a furry spin on it.
like a good example is one that Maggie and I came up with where we did trying to identify, you know how he has glasses on and he can't see really well without them. So we did a video that Jenna had done where the idea was take the glasses off and I would hold up an image and he would have to try to describe to me what he was looking at. And he either would get it right or wrong. But we would do a furry version where it was like I would have basically fursuiters up on either my phone or a picture printed out and be like, you have to identify this fursuiter using basically fuzzy colors because his vision from more than 5 feet away is garbage without glasses. And it works because you're doing an idea that, yes, has been done, but you're putting your own spin on it. So it just, a little ingenuity can really help break the ice there to get over that hump. Because it's, I will say, like in regards to, say, my YouTube, it is a struggle to come up with content, which is why what my plan is now that I'm doing more musical stuff, I'm going to incorporate that more into my content. There'll be more like bass covers and maybe some vocal work, things like that, because instead of just the same, here's my top 10 favorite fursuiters, I want to do more unique content, but still keep it kind of furry. Yes, Knobs?
Hey, I think you just touched on this, but sorry.
Yes, you're cute.
No, you're cute. But being a furry does a lot of content that's furry based. How do you protect yourself from furry burnout?
I'll be honest, I haven't figured that one out yet. What happens more often than not is I've had that burnout you speak of, and kind of what you have to do is remove yourself from it. You have to take time to refocus, okay, why am I doing this and what is it I want to achieve? Because there were a few times along the way I almost gave up doing furry YouTube because I ran out of ideas and I was frustrated and I would film a video and be like, oh, I hate this during the editing process and scrap it. Like that actually happens way more than you might think, where you'll go through the process of scripting, filming, and you'll start editing and you'll just completely abandon a project because you're like, I don't like this. I don't like the topic or the way I presented it and I don't care enough to refilm it. And that can attribute to burnout. What you need to do is develop a way to remove yourself from that situation. For us, I might go and just drive around or do some sort of activity that kind of lets you fuzz out mentally and then come back when you're ready. And for some people, that could just be as simple as sitting down and meditating or listening to music, or for me, playing music. Cons can also be a really good escape, funny enough, because you go to a con to see friends and hang out and have fun. And that can also, while being an escape from burnout, can also sort of reinvigorate you because you might see something at a con and be like, oh wow, I want to make a video about that. Or even just a con vlog, which is really easy content. You walk around and film your con experience, edit that down, throw that up. And it's really cool sometimes, especially to someone like me who does a lot of cons, to see what different perspectives look like, to see a con vlog from somebody else's eyes and how their experience was, because a lot of my cons I miss out on a lot. I can't be at every panel, I can't be at every event, especially when, if I have a concert, that ties up half my day, so I miss things, and it's really cool to get to see it through someone else's eyes. So in terms of avoiding burnout, just kind of learn, like recognize when you feel that burnout coming on, and instead of trying to push through it, just stop and take a step back. Because then even if you are working on something, you can kind of come back to it and maybe make it work after all, instead of trying to push through and get burned out and then just scrap the whole thing and waste all of that time and effort.
Yes, this is related to the burnout question. Me as just somebody who views furry content, I do tend to get burnt out on watching videos, which is why I don't really do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever thought it might be beneficial to create normal content, but just in a fursuit or just presenting as a furry?
I would say yes. I don't think I've done it to date because I've tried to kind of capitalize on that furry market when I do my content, but I would say there's nothing wrong with doing it that way, because as a consumer of furry content, I can understand that if everybody's doing the same thing, you're like, why should I watch this? It's all the same content. And it's the same struggle we as creators have, because we know if we put out similar content or basically carbon copy content, we may not get the same attention the first person did, because it's like, oh, well, it's already been done. It's already been seen. You know, my subscription list on YouTube, I can say that there's quite a few people that still try to subscribe to the formula of furry content, which unfortunately does get kind of stale when you've got hundreds, literally hundreds of thousands of people doing it. You know, you can't expect somebody to watch every single video about a top 10 rating video, or what are some of the other common ones? Reacting to memes, I think, is the new trend I've been seeing on YouTube. So
I just make the memes they react to. I mean, I was the first meme in Majira's latest meme video.
of course, yeah, which I did make fun of him.
Plus,
for
I made
that
it into
video.
2 Flute videos as well.
The way Flute does it, I think, is it's unique because he does put a spin on it. Instead of just like a pure reaction, he'll still sort of inject some of himself into the video,
Yeah.
and that keeps it very fresh. And that's really what it comes down to, is keeping it fresh for both you, the creator, and the viewer as well, so that both people have an enjoyable experience. I hope that kind of thing.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it's definitely something that the creator definitely has to think about too. Is we're just as concerned about overwhelming the viewer.
Me personally, just as a person who likes to analyze other people's content, I've noticed that a lot of just like people talking in group tends to be a lot of videos.
Mhm.
So I thought maybe that'd be a cool idea to avoid furry burnout. Like maybe you want to review a movie and like your suit has your character.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I get it a lot. I have people coming into my Twitch streams all the time going, put on your fursuit. And I'm like, but if I do that, I'll die, because video games are hard when I can only use one of my eyeballs. Because the blind spot in him is huge, and I have to kind of like do this. That's why if you ever see me and I look like I'm not really looking at you, I am, trust me, I have to turn slightly so I can actually see you. Because if I look straight on, I've got a pretty wide dead spot in front of me. But yeah, I think it's an amazing idea for people to incorporate fursuits into non-traditional topics, because it can, there again, it can bring a furry element to something to get more furries interested, where they otherwise might look at it and go, well, there's nothing here for me, I'm not interested in this. I'm sorry?
Heard a bunch of normies.
I've done it. I am the kind of person who loves when a normie comes into a stream, because you can always tell there's usually people who have, not so nice things to say. But instead of just outright kicking them, I'm the one who sits there and I'll actually stop what I'm doing and start to talk to them. And occasionally they leave, but I've actually had quite a few people stick around because they're like, wait, this guy's not going to just ban me? It's like, no, I want to know, okay, I brought you here. And, what is sort of your driving factor? Why are you the way you are? And why are you the person you are? I find people interesting. I like to talk to, I think that's another reason I like to be an entertainer, is I like to meet people because I like to know what makes them tick and find out why people are the way they are.
I like that. It's rather being defensive, it's learning about somebody else, like their personality and everything, rather than just immediately going to like this person saying no nice things to me and then banning them. Like that's interesting.
And it kind of comes back to what furry as a whole started as, a place where people could feel accepted for what they were, because we were considered outcasts and we were looked down upon for decades. We kind of still are, but not as much. But you want to put that best foot forward when you have somebody that might be their first look into the fandom is a random stream on a platform, and you want to kind of show them that even if you think we're one thing, we can show you that we're not. You just have to get through that sort of wall that they've built up, because they're just used to, oh, you're all just a bunch of weirdos, I don't want to deal with you, but I'm going to make fun of you. And it's like, okay, well, you're already here, so let's have a conversation. And it's really fun to watch sort of that moment when it clicks for them. And then they end up hanging out. And I've had people actually turn around and then stay in the stream and get active with the rest of the chat. And heck, bright side, they might subscribe and support your channel after the fact. You never know. That little bit of extra investment of your time could have some really good beneficial outcomes.
I like that. I really like that.
Or that's the Red Bull talking. Man, I still have a half an hour to go. What am I going to do? We can do that. I feel bad. Why? I feel bad. I was going to show a picture of my first suit to that little girl who was super sweet. I love that she had the raptor mask because I can't find one.
I love the raptor mask.
I want to get one. I want to make a Kiwi raptor mask just to mess with people.
I think they still have them on Amazon.
No, I don't.
And I was like,
Because the demand went up for those raptor masks. When they came out, you could get them fairly cheap, and then when they realized people wanted them, because what they were doing with them, they were just like, we're just going to quadruple the price. I'm like, well, now I'm not going to buy them.
Yeah, I got mine for $15. Last I checked, they're $25 now.
Yeah. You said they were how much now on Amazon?
I saw like them going for $100 on Amazon.
Yeah, supply versus demand. It's insane.
But like at that point, when it's $8 a mask, it goes to
Yeah.
I want to do this. Are you gonna? Yeah, no, you can ask. I was just making sure this was gonna not blow up.
Sorry, I stepped out. I don't know if this was asked already. So, like, I've seen
both your 1.0 and 2.0. They're very different. I mean, color-wise they're about the same, but like
Yes.
look-wise they're very different. If you ever, whenever you decide to do like a Kiwi 3.0, what are
Which
some
is in the
things-
works.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, what are some things that you would have wanted to do differently?
So, you know I didn't make this head. This was made by Jesse Frost.
I saw that video.
So, with 3.0, I think it's going to go a little closer to my original style, but since I've had a lot of time to learn and grow in the other projects I've created, it's going to be... I wish he was here because I could show you a perfect example. So, I have a new suit that's out and about at this very event. How many of you here know who Zillion Ross is? Or Unimaginatively Imaginative? Wonderful YouTuber. He's an artist. His art is incredible. In fact, I have everything here. The reason I had to open this up in a separate window because unfortunately my downloads folder is a minefield of project work. There are things I can't share yet for other clients that I have to make sure I don't accidentally put on screen because they're like, don't share this. I'm like, because like with Zillion's suit, he wanted to debut it today at this con, so he's walking around.
I saw him earlier.
You saw the new suit already?
Yeah, I tried to get a picture, but he just kind of zoomed into the dealer's den.
So when I gave him the suit, he literally, like, he was in tears up in my room, and it was the cutest thing ever to see someone get, whether it's their first or their 100th suit, when they open that box for the first time and they see themselves. It's why I asked him, I was like, do you want update photos as I build this? And he said, no. So I was like, all right. He wanted that surprise, and the look on his face was worth it. And I just have to find... See, if I was smart, I would have saved everything to my computer beforehand.
Send it to you.
No, I'll find it. I was going to say, here's the photos I took. Okay.
You look so done. She's just like...
I've put this poor girl to work so much this event.
This event?
Whoa.
My
So that's the new boy.
Oh,
yeah, we can see that. So that's more what I'm now going for.
You made?
Yes, that is my creation. Here is... How do I make...
Holy cow.
So that's the style we're going for. For 3.0, it's going to be a lot more angular, but it's still going to be very... can I get that? It'll still have the round muzzle, the black tongue, the teeth, but that's where we're going. So you know what 1.0 looks like, and that's kind of where we're headed now.
It's like a mish of both.
Yes.
It has like the shape of the first one, but more of the floof of that one.
And that's the big part, is my first suit was unfortunately very... It was my first one, and it was I learned a lot, but I also made a lot of mistakes in that suit. But that's why I tell people that are interested in making their own stuff, just don't be afraid to try, because even if you fail, that just means the next time you're like, oh, okay, I know not to make this mistake. Or for me personally, it was, I made the first one and had a lot of different makers kind of critique it for me, and they would give me tips and tricks. So I'm like, oh, well, you should try doing this next time to either speed things up or make it easier on yourself. Especially getting to work with people, like I've gotten to sit down and help people like telephone make suits and work with Jesse, and that is probably some of the most invaluable experience. If you ever have the chance to sit down with a maker or an artist or anyone and just sort of peek over their shoulder, take that opportunity, because I can promise you that sort of knowledge is absolutely invaluable to have.
Absolutely. That's why I'm here. Like I made his fursuit head.
That is adorable.
Like a month before Denver last year.
So I've always wanted to learn how to make fursuits since 2005, since like I was a little kid. Didn't have the kind of resources for that. So when he came out as a furry, I was like, that's it, I'm making your first head. Like I wanted so badly to try and not only have him experience, him being what he's like always been for the first time, but like also kind of expressing myself creating Devin his head for the first time. And I'm so eager to learn. Like just by being around here, I'm like so full of just like inspiration. It's almost overwhelming. It's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. It's a good time, and that's exactly why I love seeing when people get to do their first head, because it's that excitement of like, I did this, and when people go, nothing gave me greater joy than when somebody came up to me It was NFF 2016, actually, was my first FurCon. And people came up like, oh, who made your suit? And I'm like, you think my suit was made by somebody that actually has talent? Like, it's a really flattering feeling to know that people can recognize the effort that you've put in. And it's a good feeling. So it's kind of that driving force behind why I've continued doing it. And I hope to see you continue to do that as well.
I mean, in a month's time, never making a fursuit ever.
Yeah.
I love it.
I can only imagine what the next one's going to look like then. If you've already accomplished that on your first one.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Very well. It's the same with Zillion. You saw my first suit, and then you look at something like that, and you can see a clear progression. It's because you get better, and you get faster as you do it too. You know, my first head was 2 months long to make. I could probably do a head in a week now if I really wanted to sit down and bang it out.
That's great.
As long as I didn't have anything else to do that day. Because admittedly, I can spend anywhere from 12 to 14 hours at a time just in my studio and not realize where the time has gone. And then you look up and it's like, wow, it was dark when I started. And it's like midnight, you're like, I forgot to eat today. So, it's fun though, I enjoy it. Yes.
So, being a furry creator, I feel like you kind of, sorry, my thoughts here. Like you're a YouTuber, you're a streamer, gamer, fursuit maker, and I feel like it's just yesterday that you're like, hey, I'm a bass player now for a band. So,
you didn't know this?
What kind of drives you to kind of like try new things, and is there anything you want to do in the future that's something you want to do?
That's a good one. You just had to make me think, didn't you? I would say, for me, the driving force is I've always sort of had a thirst for knowledge, because everything I know is self-taught. Like, I never finished college, because I'm lazy in one regard, but I've always had a thirst to teach myself. So if there's something I see and I'm like, I want to do that, I will go out and find the information. With bass, it was a year ago, our band needed a bassist, because when I started with RDR, I was just the guy that hit play on a laptop, and that was all I did. And then we needed a bassist, and we're like, well, we could try to find one in the fandom and hope they work well with the rest of the band, or I could just learn how to play. And it was a month before TFF last year that I flew to Arizona, I hung out with Omnom, I ordered a bass on Amazon, and I just started playing. And in a month before that show, I learned at least RDR's music, and so for the last year, it has just been sitting down, teaching myself how to do it. And that same drive goes into everything else with streaming and video creation and going to cons and now running panels and hopefully running more panels in the future if I remember to actually submit things before the deadline. That's what Skylit's for, is usually, hey, I forgot to do this, can you talk to somebody? I want to do a panel, but they closed the form. So yeah, I do it because I want to share that passion with other people. And that's what it really comes down to, is I have a passion for a lot of things. And I want to share that with everyone else around me. And the only way I can do that is to learn enough about it that I feel confident then kind of teaching it or paying it forward. So that kind of puts the burden on me to learn about it, practice it, and really get it to a point where I can be like, hey, check this cool thing out, and then hopefully inspire other people to do the same, whether it be making fursuits or becoming a musician or just going to a con for the first time and performing in a dance comp or Floor Wars. You know, all of that requires that same sort of ambition and drive. If that answers it. Are you leaving me? They're going to eat me a lot. I'm sorry, there's other people you have to attend to.
Not just that, because you're scared away to substitute.
Good luck. That's one thing I don't think I could ever do, is be a public school teacher. I would get fired. I would get fired very fast, because like I have a very low threshold for shenanigans, because I have to censor myself because it's not dark yet. And children tend to love shenanigans, a lot of it, and her students especially are no exception to the rule. Like, I get some very hilarious stories every time we hang out at the con. I'm like, bless your heart, I couldn't do it. I like to teach. That's the weirdest thing, is I like to mentor people, but usually only about the things that I do. I don't want to have to like teach like math and science and home ec. It's like, that's the school's job to teach that.
Have you ever thought about doing like tutorial series on your series?
I've started. So on YouTube, I've done fursuit tutorials as far as I have a series that I'm still working on making more for fursuit care and maintenance. I know Twinkie said she has a panel about like fursuit care and things like that here, which is why I didn't want to like take away her thunder because I was going to talk about stuff like that, but I'm like, I'll let her do it. She makes more suits than me. But yes, I do tutorial videos because it's very much a necessity to share that sort of knowledge because the amount of people I've come across who will go out and commission a suit but then have no idea how to take care of it. There are some people that didn't know you had to wash a fursuit. They just thought you wore it and then hung it up. It's like, oh honey, no. You are sweating in a carpet, you need to clean it. And actually, another reason that tutorials and information is good is you're always learning. And I recently just learned, after many years, that a long-standing tradition of mine was wrong. And that was, I came up in the fursuit making world only being told to use woolite with washing your fursuit because it's gentle and doesn't hurt the fur. There's a problem with that, though. Woolite is a detergent made for natural wool clothing. It doesn't strip the oils out, which would otherwise make the garment fall apart. The problem with that is you have a fursuit, which is just basically synthetic plastic fibers. You spill something on the suit, right? You spill food or drinks or whatever, and you put woolite on it. Woolite doesn't attack any... They say it won't attack the oils or other natural, like, substances. Take that as you will. So, by washing it in woolite, you're not actually cleaning it as much as you're just making it smell better. Like, you're getting the grossness off of it.
You get the sweat out.
Yeah, you get, like, it's not going to smell like a gym sock anymore. But I've actually switched over to just using things like Tide Free and Clear, not sponsored, but things that actually will like take out. Like I have spilled mustard and chili, and I have put this suit through. I've gotten grease on him because I go in the garage and roll around under a car in full suit.
I've heard that if you're hand washing or if you have a top loader that doesn't need HE detergent, Dr. Bronner's.
Yes,
that's
because again, as long as it's cold water, mind you, because of plastic. Fur is actually much more resilient than people give it credit for. I know Sable spent most of opening ceremonies mentioning how fragile suits are, which is true, but the base textile of the fur is really, like, you can do a lot. Like, you can grab him and just, like, do that. Like, that. So, like, when you wash a suit, you're not going to hurt it, provided it's cold water, because the warmth of the water could end up making the plastic curl. Funny story, actually, now that I mention it. I wish I had the picture queued up. I don't want to spend 20 minutes digging through my photo library. Before Anthrocon, this past year, I accidentally hot-washed my bodysuit. Some of you may have seen the pictures on Twitter. I had been doing some home renovations, and I somehow swapped the lines to my washing machine. Didn't really notice that. And I went to wash my suit, and I put everything in it, and I set it to tap cold. And when I came back an hour later to take it out, I'm like, that's weird. It's warm. Like, I grabbed the body out of the wash, I'm like, why is it? And then I looked at it, and the fur is just, like, curled up and, like, gnarly, and I'm like... And then I look, and I notice, like, I'm following the hoses over to the wall, and I'm like... The instant realization hit, and I panicked. I'm like, I just destroyed my suit, and it's, like, 2 days before AC. And I'm like, I can't make a new body in time. There's no way. So I legitimately panicked, and I called telephone, because I'm like, please tell me you know how to fix this, because I don't know what to do. And she actually gave me a really good solution. This was a good segue to get into this, actually. Now, because we were just talking about, like, cleaning it. But she taught me about garment steamers, and how heat can ruin the fur, but heat can also save the fur, if you know how to work with it. And I've done this with hair dryers, too. If you have any fur on your suit, armpits, crotch, under the tail, if it's matted really bad, heat, preferably with a garment steamer, you can soften that back up and then brush it out. It'll actually help you straighten the fur again and get any sort of curling or matting out of it. And that's something else. I've made videos on that before because not many people knew about that you can pick up a $10 garment steamer from Walmart. I pack one for every con, and I actually steam him before every time I just wear it because it just keeps him fluffy. And yeah, it's hot, steamy water, but if you know how to work with it and don't, like, hold it in one spot, you can work with the material to make it that much nicer.
Blow dryers are also really good for a pizza, apparently, too.
I was going to make a reference to how many people saw that tweet. You would not believe how many people gave me grief over that tweet.
I saw that.
They were like, give you grief? But I will just ask, why? Why?
So the problem is, none of the rooms have microwaves. And nobody told me that if you call the front desk, you can have one brought up. I thought they would just you can ask for a microwave. Nobody told me this. And I've been going to cons since anime cons since like 2001.
I thought they charged you for it though.
They might charge for it. Some hotels, so it's weird. Like BLFC, they'll sometimes do it for free because you also have to ask for mini fridges now, unless you have a certain room. But I know that hotel will give you a microwave. You just have to request it before check-in. But with the iron, I did it because, to me, it's funny. That's why I tweeted it, because I'm like, I did this back in when I was in basic training for the military. That's how I learned it, was you took 2 boots and an iron. It's like, it's faster than going to the, to get food at the mess hall. But people kept giving me grief because they're like, oh, well, now the next person to use that iron is going to get grease on their shirt. And it's like, all right, two
Oh my
things.
god. Okay.
When you reheat pizza, it's nowhere near as greasy as the first time. And also, I did clean it by not only wiping it down, but then you fill it with water and then you turn it upside down to run the steam through it, which blasts the holes out. Because I had this one particular fur go at me on Twitter like, yeah, well, the next person to use it, I'm sure they were being really snarky about sanitizing it. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure hot steam sanitizes anything. Like, when you're almost at boiling temperatures, there's not going to be anything left. They clean kitchens with steam, so...
Virtually.
Yeah. I'm not going to ruin a businessman's white-collared shirt. Odds are, when they come here, they're not ironing it themselves anyway. They're going to give it to housekeeping.
We saw yesterday. I was dying laughing. He was like, what is he thinking?
Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you what, though. That was some really good pizza. It was amazing. That was all I had to eat.
We had the weirdest pizza.
Domino's.
Maybe that's what we need to do, is not order local pizza.
And even if you don't want to do the iron trick, I've even learned that just a hairdryer makes a great convection oven. Say you get an order of chicken nuggets the night before, because we all Uber Eats at 2 a.m. I know, I'm guilty. If you take a box of chicken nuggets out of the fridge and then don't open it, just hold the hairdryer across the side of it, it will create a convection oven. It will reheat them and not dry them out.
Oh my god.
And you're not getting the hairdryer dirty because it's not actually touching anything. Yeah. I also love that a lot of people were like, I'm pretty sure that iron uses more electricity than a microwave. I'm like, I'm not paying the electric bill for the hotel. You're just paying the room share.
If they didn't want us to spend that electricity, they should have given us a microwave.
Exactly. Case in point. I forgot what that one, the only way I've ever been able to successfully reheat fries is at home using one of those air fryers. Every other method I've tried, either a microwave makes them gummy, an oven takes too long or burns them. I've tried setting them in the sun. That's a bad idea. So there's different ways, but yeah, fries are a hard one. Basically, if I don't finish my fries the first time, I just throw them out because there's no salvaging them.
Toaster oven. Toaster oven with a piece of parchment paper over the top so they don't dry out.
I want to buy a toaster oven, but I will be honest with you, I priced them out of Walmart, and they go from $20 for one that will burn my house down to $50. And I'm like, no.
Go to Goodwill. There's always a giant shelf full of toaster ovens, bread machines, and weird, like, sandwich press, hamburger cooker things that only do one thing.
Have you seen how small my kitchen is?
Or you can get the combination.
It's very small.
They do have a combination toaster oven that is a mini one that also has a coffee pot and a griddle on the top as one unit.
I would bring that to a con.
Yes.
I would actually bring that to a con. I'd be like, this is
just enough fancy. It's one of the like lean cuisines, like the little small lean cuisines. It has enough room for just one of those. So it's a little tiny one, and it has like a little griddle with a little cover on the top, and then a miniature, like half size.
I have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, they're like $20-$30.
Nice. Let's see. I got 10 minutes to kill. If there's no more questions, we can do more without music videos.
Just another like kind of weird question is, how do you go about interacting with people that are more popular than you? That's just kind of a hard one that I kind of struggled with.
Who's more popular?
Well, so that is a hard one to answer. I'd say the first interaction I ever had with a popular person was at regarding furries, actually, would have been MFF when I ran into Majira, of all people, because that first con, I didn't know anybody. I just was kind of still coming out as like...
What year was that?
What's that? 2016 was my first year. And I literally decided to go to that con last minute, back when you still could. And
Hey, I did it last minute.
we don't talk about last year with MFF. That was, but basically, dealing with meeting popular people comes down to just being comfortable with meeting a stranger. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter what their status is. It shouldn't. You should treat them just like anybody else, because that's how I ask people to treat me. Just if you come up to me, I'm just another person. I walk and talk and breathe just like anybody else, and I don't consider myself. I'm done with you. I don't do anything any different than anybody else, and so when it comes to talking to anybody popular, if you will, whatever the criteria is for that, just treat them like a human being. Whether they're in suit or out of suit, just walk up, talk to them, be like, hey, what's up? If you got a question, just ask them a question. If they act like a jerk, then they're a jerk. So don't take that personally.
I was kind of thinking more along, like, online.
Online is a little harder because, unfortunately, I will say, in my personal opinion, there are times where I'm just very cautious when a new person messages me, because it's like, okay, well, if they don't immediately state their intention, I have to be like, well, what do they want? Because one of the biggest things anybody puts up with is if you have friends who are also known, the one thing a lot of us put up with is people messaging us to try to get to another person, which is kind of a painful thing, because they're like, oh, I'm just like a stepping stone to them. So when people message, what I would suggest, if you're trying to talk to a popular person, just be honest, be upfront. If there is a question, just go ahead and ask it. Like, I saw a tweet about this the other day, and it's like, instead of messaging somebody going, hey, I have a question, just message them, and with your question, be like, oh, hey, I wanted to ask you this, and then ask the question, because I can guarantee you, whether it be a fursuit maker, an artist, or anybody else, if you're just pretty much to the point and polite and honest with them, they will respond, and you will get whatever communication it is you're looking for, versus if you do the, like, hi, do you RP, those go out the window, and they still happen. They're funny, trust me, I've done it to people just because it's just like, hi, but then they delete the message, and I'm like, oh, yeah. So, that's my best advice as far as talking. If you're going to message anybody, just message them. Like, don't, for the love of God, please don't message. Like, if you want to talk to Majira, please don't message me and be like, can you tell Majira this? Because I'm going to forget. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I have the memory of a goldfish. I almost forgot I had a panel today. I went upstairs after opening ceremonies, and Skyla's like, what are you doing? I laid down, and she's like, you have a panel. I'm like, oh, right. So, we all have terrible memories. So, yeah, if you want to talk to someone, just talk to them. Just message them, get a hold of them, however you can, and just speak your piece, and they'll, as long as it's not, do you RP. Unless that's what they're into, they might respond. I'm not sure. I don't know. I can't speak for everybody.
Try to be ignored.
You might get more than, I don't know, man. Some people might be like, and your next thing you know, 48 chapters later, you've written an entire fan fiction together.
Coming out next year.
I recently read, speaking of fan fiction, I recently read 48 chapters of Death Note fan fiction live on stream, and it took 8.5 hours.
How was that?
It sucked.
Why?
Do it again.
I don't have a good reason for it, other than I woke up, because my sleep schedule was garbage. I woke up and I saw that people were online for Twitch. I'm like, I'm going to stream. And I was like, wait, what am I going to stream? I don't want to play any games right now. I don't want to wake Maggie up. So I was like, let's read some bad fan fiction. And I Googled bad fan fiction, and the first one that came up was a Death Note OC insert. And I'm like, 48 chapters. Oh, this is going to be fun. And they were long chapters. Oh, I'm sorry, 45 chapters and 3 epilogues.
Oh my god.
It was a time. I'm planning on, so it's still up on Twitch. I'm going to download all of them and make a compilation for YouTube. It won't be 8 hours long. We're gonna get the highlights. That's going to take me probably a week to edit. I do through 8.5 hours of footage. I might pay Maggie to do it instead.
So from one hitting Astro fan to another, what is the weirdest fan fiction you've read?
Which isn't the weirdest fan fiction? Almost all of them have a
couple that I
self-insert
found that are
character.
really, really good. Like, if you've read them, you would think that they're part of the story. But, like, I've seen ones where I would read it and I'd be like, what the heck was that? Like, what was that I just read?
I should send you the Death Note one, because
Oh, please.
all I
Please
can
do.
say is this fan fiction. I will never judge someone for how they write or what they write, but this one was written over the course of 3 years by somebody who I can only surmise as having a very tenuous grasp on the English language. And when I read it complete with all of the spelling and grammatical errors. I forgot English for 2 days after that. It was bad.
Oh my gosh.
It was...
I would love to read it. I love reading.
I will, when I make the video, I'll put a link to it in the description so people can go torture themselves, because there were literally, that was another one of those streams I had non-furries just wander in and go, I don't know why I'm here, but I love this. I think I converted a few normies with fan fiction that day. I'm not sure. It was, if I remember correctly, it was called Death Note, the Story of Dark and Light Yagami. And that was the only legible sentence, was the intro. And then it just went downhill from there. It was... They wouldn't let me host a panel where that was all I was going to do was read it.
Really? No. What?
Oh, I would.
They turned me down. They let me do this, but they wouldn't let me read my Immortal, so... Next time, that'll be something I plan. We don't have to. We got like 4 minutes. They're gonna yell at me.
Late night reading.
I would have to probably. I'm gonna be honest with you. If I were to do my Immortal, I would have to have an AD panel where they would let me drink.
Yes.
That's the only way we're all getting through that together.
There's nothing in this room for another half an hour before the circle meet.
Oh no.
There's a circle meet?
Yeah, it's in this room in an hour.
I expect pictures of at least 8 of them in a circle trying to put their faces. Do I still have it?
I love that meme that's like,
Every time there's a
like, what are
spelling
you?
error.
You know what I'm get a kick out of?
What's that?
Read the article, is Bruno Mars is gay.
I've
Just
heard of
Bruno
that. I
Mars.
haven't read it.
You should. It's like these songs. It's like, you know the songs where they like feed it through and
Cease and desist. It got really dramatic for a second.
it's like they took an article that was legible in one language, fed it through 3 other ones, and then put it into English because I read it myself and I was like,
Are you talking about the Does Bruno Mars is Gay one?
Yeah.
That Game Grumps did?
I want him to read it.
Oh, please.
How
You
long
need
is
to
it?
read
It's like 2 minutes. Like, you know.
Can I, if I Google search the phrase "Does Bruno Mars is gay"?
The Game Grumps do. Let's find the Game Grumps thing.
Does Bruno Mars have kids? Does Bruno Mars have a girlfriend? Does he have a son, a wife? Does he speak Spanish?
Bruno Mars is gay.
Bruno Mars.
I think for a few minutes we were talking about Bruno Mars. I'm making sure that Bruno Mars is gay.
Is it a fan fiction?
No, it's an article.
It's an article.
Well, so Google gives me. Let me mirror this.
Rumor come out. Does Bruno Mars
I'm also watching videos.
And a bird.
That's hilarious.
All right, so we've got this.
Oh, that's the Game Grumps one.
There's YouTube.
It's on Spotify.
Why is it on Spotify? All right, let's check the Urban Dictionary right here.
Oh no.
The most discussed.
Oh, this is
That's
that's
it.
part of it. Yeah.
That's it. It's just on the.
Does Bruno Mars is gay is the most discussed in the media in the few years ago. Even it has happened in 2012, but some of the public still curious about what is exactly happening, and to be the reason there is a rumor comes out about his gay. He just came out with his bad rumor, which is spread massively.
That's only good. There's more.
There's
It's
like
more.
just-
Where do you find it? Is
I don't know. I guess the article.
Wait, go back.
Okay. We need to watch the video to understand that.
This
Game
one?
Grumps, so I don't
Yeah, Game
Or
Grumps.
this one?
after the fan.
What was that one with Jay-Z?
When we're not.
I don't know.
We're not.
We're watching. Oh no.
Sorry, way more extra than I
Rumor
was
come out. Oh, Mars is gay. I don't know, does he? Well, they said that to my friend Ashley, so she went deeper down the rabbit hole and like read the article and sent it back to me, and she was like, "You're going to want to read this." So
where do I find the
allow
article?
me to take the next 20 seconds to read you an excerpt of the "Does Bruno Mars is gay" rumor mill.
Because I've thought the same thing myself.
Yeah,
Does Bruno Mars is gay? I have to know. I have to know.
Bruno Mars is gay is the most discussed in the media in the few years ago. Even Even it has happened in 2012, but some of the public still curious about what is exactly happening and to be the reason there is a rumor comes out about his gay.
Oh my god, I can't believe this is real, dude.
At that time, he became the massive social networking rumor. The public, especially his fans, are shocked. He just came out with his bad rumor, which is spread massively. This time is not about his music career, but his bad rumor. The rumor is out of standardize of hoax. What? According to the last reported, the singer revealed himself as homosexual. Do you still believe or not? This rumor is really much talked by people, even in a person of his fans. So I hope that cleared that up for you.
So, he actually come out as gay?
I don't fucking know. You can glean anything from that?
Really?
It's a good thing the children.
My God.
Does Bruno Mars is gay?
Does Bruno Mars is gay? It's a question that will haunt me for the rest of my life.
So we're going to find that article, and maybe at the RDR Hangout panel, I will read it tonight.
Yes.
It's
I found it once and I can't. I'm
Sunday.
looking for
I
it.
think I found it.
You need to find
I think I
it and
found
DM
it.
it to me on Twitter so I can read
If you
that.
search through DuckDuckGo, you'll probably find it.
If I search for what?
If you search it through it on DuckDuckGo,
What is that?
it's a different
Send him
search
a
engine.
link. He's not gonna remember.
Yeah, tweet it.
Yeah.
Tweet it at him.
Yeah.
Kiwi.
Kiwi, look at this article.
Kiwi.
So,
Oh, is that your store? Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
so we need to do. There's another one. Should I do fake love? Should I?
Oh no.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say you should. Yeah.
I was here for that.
Do we have any BTS fans in here?
Oh jeez.
I'm about to ruin BTS for you. I'm sorry.
It's interesting.
No, it's amazing, is what it is.
Found it.
You found it? Can you DM that to me on Twitter?
Cause it's a fake alarm, fake alarm.
Actually sounded like to film that music video? Well, there you go.
There's like a really old video of like Elvis Presley.
He does.
Oh yeah, the Elvis Presley one is really funny.
There's one like that with Elvis Presley.
That whole channel is an amazing time, and I absolutely love it. So, if you've never seen them before, I highly recommend. If you're bored, just check out Without Music.
Yes.
Like,
It's called Up Music.
Without Music. Yeah.
There's the Star Wars ceremony.
You sent it on Twitter? I can't open my messages on stream.
Put it in the middle of
Because there's a lot of high URP in there. A lot. Woo! Gay. Mars is gay. Let's just,
Is that going to be the thing of this convention?
I just want to see. I just want to.
We're gonna be.
Now you know why I don't mirror my display.
What the
Dude, behind you.
I'm aware.
The squawk is gay.
The squawk. does squat. Yeah, I've learned this from other cons with Maggie because when he used to do any sort of AV, I'm like, give me your laptop. Just no. Stop. All right. Oh, I have a message. Oh no. Here it is. The rumor come out. Oh my God. There's a website for it?
Yes.
Somebody paid for the domain name brunomars.us.
Somebody paid.
Oh my God. Wait, where's the article? Oh, it's 4 pages? What?
Pages of just pure nonsense.
Hold on.
No.
There's 4 pages of
Yes.
Oh yes, this is it. This is it.
There's 4 pages of this. I'm not reading that right now.
Maybe most of it's just like you should put your stuff in.
Yeah, that is something else. As much as I would want to stay here till 3, I have other things I have to drag to main stage. So I guess the best way to finish this out, I gotta drop off our instruments and stuff because then we have the dinner and then I have to run back to do the concert. So, any final questions before we wrap this
The
up?
concert's at 7:30, right?
Correct.
And 7:30 downstairs on those.
Main stage, yes.
Oh, it's in the main stage.
So it's actually the first floor, because you have the dealer's den downstairs, right?
Yeah.
So first floor, all the way in the back, is main stage. Landmark or
Landmark.
Landmark. So 7:30 for the concert. At 11 p.m. in which room was it in? We have a panel for RDR. It's gonna be a hang.
It's right next door.
So we'll have an RDR hangout panel, which will be myself, Omnom, Roman, Nero, Ace, probably a few other people that help us. Skylar will most likely be there unless you have other. I don't know. We're gonna make you come. So it'll be kind of like
I'll
this.
get choice.
It'll be an informal hangout session with the band. You can ask us all questions. Doesn't have to be necessarily music-related questions. We'll all be there. Most people are gonna ask Nom how he barks, of course. So.
Oh my God.
And then
What happens behind the scenes?
make sure at least one of you come to that panel to ask Omnom, does Bruno Mars is gay? But don't just ask him.
I
Awesome.
need to see it.
Oh yeah. And then tomorrow, if you are also inclined,